Oh, you damn right. Let's go Orange Bloods live on a Thursday. Jeff Ketchum is being a dad today. We've had a couple other guys taking a little time off, spending time with the family. Ketch is doing something that a lot of us have done, and it's kind of dangerous. I've never done it with twins, though. Taking twins to a water park when they're,
Ooh.
11, 12 years old. Crossing fingers for you today, Mr. Ketchum. But he's off being a dad. So this guy jumps in. That's Cody Carpentier of orangebloods.com and Roster Watch. You see him on Football with Friends every day with Alex. You see him all over the place. He was in Atlanta covering SEC Media Days for Orange Bloods as well. And he has an awesome article this week on Orange Bloods. We're going to highlight that, but also talk about some of the numbers that it reveals in terms of quarterbacks in the SEC and the experience that's coming back. It is wild stuff. So speaking of wild, the chat can certainly get that way. Uncle Mickey, we see you. Hope everything is good north of the border. Also, I'll put this chat up because it's the first one I saw, but wow. If you are one of those that believes that the celebrity deaths come in threes, then I guess Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy, and Hulk Hogan would be your trifecta if you look at things that way. Hulk Hogan dead at the age of 71 today as we crank this show up live on a Thursday. Rest in peace to Hulk. And man, thoughts going out to the wrestling family and his whole family and all of that. You can't talk pro wrestling without discussing Hulk Hogan. It's impossible. So incredible story to me, Cody. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. I wanted to ask you the question because this, I did a show with Roster Watch earlier and the Hulk Hogan thing happened mid-show and I was like, whoa, Hulk Hogan, that caught me off guard.
Yeah.
First thoughts were, I was kind of shocked that he went before Ric Flair. I'll say that.
Especially with the scare Flair had a few years ago.
He's had a couple. It's like he'll like tweet out in a rage and it's like,
yeah,
he all of a sudden he's in the hospital. He's getting stapled together, like all these different things. So I was kind of shocked by that. The other thing is for you, Chad, first, because he was your generation. Hulk was way more your generation than mine. Mine has been Cena, later Undertaker, Randy Orton, Edge, that was mine.
Right.
Hulk, I would say, probably generally that would be like your guy, right? Your generation guy.
That's definitely my generation. Yeah. So if you want to say,
him and Randy,
he was huge in like 84, 85, 86. That's when I'm 10, 11, 12 years old. Yes.
Okay. So who's your one match? Who's your favorite match? And everyone always goes Andre the Giant, but is that your favorite Hulk match?
Probably. Hulk wasn't known for just badass matches. That's not really what he was. Because he wasn't like the most badass worker in the world, and he didn't tell the story the same way some other guys could and would later. But it's Hogan and Andre at WrestleMania 3 because of what it meant, because of the crowd, the largest crowd at that time, and they were estimating like high 80s, early 90,000. The idea that many people would show up to watch wrestling was just insane, and just everything that it meant, Andre being willing to do what he did for Hulk. And he was so hurt. And, Hulk got hurt during the match too. But like Andre came into that beat to hell and not doing well physically, but he was willing to do that, for Hulk and everything. So that's the match. And then the moment is when he turns heel and the NWO thing begins. Those two flashpoints for me are huge because I remember them. I remember the reaction to them. And it's just hard, even in this day and age, it's hard to explain to somebody in an era where nobody had a phone and the internet wasn't a thing and not everybody had computers. It's hard to explain how big Hulk Hogan was.
Yeah.
And really still is to the end. And heck, this week, Ozzy's got a little bit of that. When you look at the reach Ozzy had in music and how he transcended because of a couple different things and the longevity, these two guys have, you could tell similar stories in a way. I think Hulk's even more important to his world than what Ozzy is. Cause to me, it's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
You can have a discussion about a lot of stuff, but if you're going totality of wrestling and you don't have Hogan on your Mount Rushmore, I think you need to recalculate your Mount Rushmore.
I think you're right. I think that I think it was the McMahon thing that I just was watching. Was it a couple months ago that came out?
Oh,
and
yeah.
the story of Andre being in such tough shape, and then when Hulk ended up lifting him, the story behind like how that match even went through, like there was no practice run or anything, and mid match
he just kept
goes,
telling Hogan it'll be
lift.
okay.
He just goes lift, and it just happened. And it was like
right.
That story was like in my head. I was like, that's so bizarre. The fact that
and the other famous legend of that is supposedly when Hogan picked Andre up, he ripped his lat. And you work out a ton. You know, he ripped completely ripped the lat when he did it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so, that is what he had to kind of pay to get there. So yeah, just crazy stuff. So rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. We'll talk Longhorn football, but if you guys want to throw some Hulk Hogan stuff in the chat, we'll certainly deal with that. As you can hear, Cody and I are both wrestling fans, so we'll deal with that a little bit. But a big shout out to you, Cody, for the article on orangebloods.com. I'll throw up the QR code a couple times today. That's how you guys can access it. It's a great time to get to Orange Bloods. Oh, wait, what am I doing? We have the QR code permanently up in the upper left-hand corner. They've done that too. You can do it either way. But go to that upper left corner, click in. That's how you can sign up for orangebloods.com and get all the great content like Cody's piece throughout the season as it goes on. Cody does a great article called Behind Enemy Lines, where he looks at the teams Texas is going to play in key games and kind of what they've got going on. And he talks to people that cover those teams. So you definitely want to check that out. This week, it's about quarterbacks in the SEC. And Cody, I'd been sort of looking at things one way and not really considering exactly what you looked up, exactly what you dug into. I just think it adds layers to what we're about to see. And I made a rough graphic to kind of help explain this. But before we get into that, for you, because there's a lot in there. There's a lot in the article. Like, as you sit here today, what is the thing that jumps out to you when you went digging into the quarterbacks?
Well, I think there's a lot here, but I think that the end all be all, what I came away with was Alex and I had this conversation. We've had it, we had it last week in particular, coming out of the SEC media days, because there's kind of becomes, and this is in, the fantasy football space that we work in. Can be in just the football space, the, TV analysis space. Once a thought gets out there, people start to like kind of go with it sometimes. And then it becomes just a belief. Like, it's like, if someone says that, oh my gosh, Texas isn't returning a lot of players, their defense is only returning 4 starters. That's not good. Like, all of a sudden someone says that and you just kind of hear it and you just say it. And Alex is like, I just started to believe that. And I just forgot that, like, you look at it, it's not 4 guys returning. It's kind of like 7.5 or 8 guys that played very meaningful snaps on defense that were returning. And I kind of had the same thought with the quarterback thing coming out of the SEC media days and post, where like all last weekend, I'm showering, I'm making dinner, I'm standing on the beach with my wife, I'm like sitting at dinner with my wife, and I'm not in the moment. I'm thinking about quarterbacks and I'm thinking about experience, because people are like, well, Texas doesn't have, Arch Manning's not experienced. He's not ready. He played UL Monroe. He played UTSA. He played Mississippi State. Ty Simpson, Alabama's got an uphill battle with Ty Simpson, or Stockton hasn't, all these different guys that no experience, talking about how important experience is. And I'm like, is it really though? Is it really like that important? And that's where I got to this thing. And by the end of it, it kind of fell in line with exactly where I was going to end up. And you get to the finish line and you read off the list of players that went through a whole season, with the beginning starting out with nothing. It started out with no experience. You talk about Mac Jones, you talk about Tua Tagovailoa, you talk about Jake Fromm with Georgia, Jalen Hurts, Bryce Young, all these guys that started the season with less starts or less pass attempts in the sport of college football than what Arch Manning has today. And they all have one thing in common: SEC champions in that given season. And almost all of them played in the national championship that year.
Yeah, that team around you does matter just a little bit. But I thought for our purposes today, and I do encourage everybody to go look at the full article and what Cody gets into, because he does get into some of that other stuff. He goes back and looks at prior championship games, what quarterbacks faced each other, what was their experience like coming into the season, national championship winning quarterbacks, that kind of stuff. But for our purposes, I want to focus on this season, and let's think of it in terms of what Texas is facing. So I'm going to put this up, and pardon my crude graphic here, Cody, but I want everybody to start with the left side of this graphic, because this is all about the starts. Everything that's bold here is who's playing Texas. But you start, Arch Manning's up in the upper left, 2 starts, 2. If you combine, look at that left column, combine the career starts of Texas, Georgia, Missouri, Bama, and Ole Miss coming back. It's a combined 3 starts, 1 for Stockton and 2 for Arch. But the other thing, Cody, that starts to stand out, because you laid this out beautifully on this right column, I just cut and pasted from your article in terms of you started up top with the most starts and you went, down from there. So start with Vanderbilt and make your way down and ask yourself the question of, when do we get to a team that's really dangerous? Because Vanderbilt plays Texas, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Oklahoma. I don't know. Maybe because of a rivalry, you'd say Oklahoma. Maybe because of what Mateer could be, you'd say Oklahoma. But to me, Cody, I don't see true danger until you get to Lagway and 7 career starts all the way down there at the bottom of that right column. So it's like, for Texas fans, the team you're playing, the worse the team is, the more the quarterback has started. The better the team is, the less he started. And as you ended up looking up, you can't just say, well, guy hadn't started a lot, so that's just going to be such a huge factor. It might be a factor, but the whole team has got to be considered.
The whole team has to be considered. That's one of the biggest takeaways, is the fact that, there's experience matters in the SEC, experience matters in college football. It's like, well, all right, well, that list right here on the screen is Vandy, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State. They all got one thing in common. They're literally the bottom 4 predicted finishers in the SEC right now, according to FanDuel.
Yep.
16, 15, 14, 13. And the top 3 is Texas, Georgia, and Alabama with a combined 3 starts. The most inexperienced teams most inexperienced quarterbacks in the conference are the predicted 1, 2, 3, according to FanDuel. It's like, yeah, I think when you say that the teams that they play, who do you start to get worried about? Yeah, you can make a case for Mateer to a certain extent. I mean, but even whatever. He's got a year under his belt. I think you're right though. You don't get to Lagway where you really get worried.
Because maybe, and before I take it down for now, maybe eight career starts for Marcel Reed. Maybe by the time we get to Austin on November, the 28th, you'll have, obviously Marcel Reed will have more starts. And if A&M gets what they want, that offense will start to look like it belongs to him. And it will look like Colin Klein is making it belong to him. And maybe you do go into that game saying, well, A&M's had a pretty good year. But right now they don't feel dangerous to me, Cody. So in terms of the true, dangerous parts of that schedule, it's Lagway, who's got 7 starts. It's Stockton, who's got 1. And the cat at Ohio State, I know, has none, right? Whoever's going to throw the ball that day, we know they lost their quarterback and they're bringing in somebody who hasn't played.
Yeah, that's it's all the team around you, period. That's what the end of this ends up coming to. And I know, if you go over there in Orange Bloods and you look at the write-up, and I kind of based it around, what I built the whole thing around was the last 10 SEC championship games. And the data point that's a little bit skewed here is the fact that 10-year span is kind of the center or the middle of a Alabama, Georgia dynasty. So out of 10 years, that's 20 teams. Alabama's 6 of them, Georgia's 7. So it's 13 out of the 20 teams that played in conference. Listen, a lot of the guys, whether it's Mac, it's Tua, it's Bryce Young, it's Milroe, it's Beck, it's Hurts, it's Jake Coker, Bama, Georgia. What do they all got in common?
Yeah.
And they're all, every year, Alabama or Georgia has had a top 3 roster.
Yeah, and it's also true, Cody, that you're talking about the badass roster coached by a defensive primary coach who puts together a team that a lot of people around at the time would say it doesn't really matter who's quarterback, which is silly. But Saban had a run there where people are like, who's his quarterback? I don't care. Who's his
Jake
OC?
Coker.
Right? Who's his OC? I don't care. I mean, that's crazy. Guy he snaps the ball to and the guy calling the plays doesn't matter. That's how great a coach you are. And for a while, it felt like that. But it's a great point. And now you're into this time where you just think of every that lost something. And they all did, right? The guy that quarterbacked Texas to the semifinals is not back. The guy that took Bama, where they, almost to the playoff, he's not coming back. The guy that took Georgia is now on another team, Miami. Carson Beck, I have that right? But he's not with Georgia. The Ohio State guy's gone. The Notre Dame guy's gone. I was trying to look it up today, like who's got quarterbacks coming back? Florida State's grabbing the guy from Boston College. LSU's got their guy coming back. And that's another one that jumped out to me, Cody, as I looked at this stat, this graphic. I'll throw it up again. Let's find Nussmeier, right side, just at the middle of it. Garrett Nussmeier, 14 career starts, 31 games total. There's experience there. There are numbers there, more so than other people. But Cody, he's a guy that I just can't trust until I see it. I mean, to me, he's the kid that I have to leave him at the house and he has to not throw a party and destroy my stuff before I believe that's the kind of kid he is, because I have the bias of watching it so closely and it was against my team, I'll admit it. But a couple of the throws he had in College Station, to me, are just like, I thought of Neil O'Donnell. I'm a Cowboys fan. When I see a throw that bad, that's who I think of. It had an O'Donnell feel to it. I know Nussmeier had, 4,000 yards passing and all that. But, Cody, I'm not one of those. And I want to get your kind of rankings of how you see all these quarterbacks. I can't put Nuss at the top. I don't even know if I could put him like top 3 for me. I'm going to need to see it first.
So when you looked at an LSU section, I love everything you just said because I feel the same way. And I've done like my preseason NFL draft analysis on these guys, and I'm not big on Nussmeier in any way, shape, or form projecting towards next spring. But the LSU factor, so I mentioned Georgia's been to 7 of these conference championships. Alabama's been to 6. Florida's been to 3. LSU's been to 2. And those 2 came with quarterbacks who were almost in the same exact boat that Nussmeier's in, where year, that first year at LSU, Joe Burrow, 16 touchdowns, 5 picks, 57% completions. Nobody's batting an eye at Joe Burrow going into 2019. Jaden Daniels, same thing, 17 touchdowns, 3 picks, sub 70% completions. Nobody's batting an eye because he sucked at Arizona State. Both guys the next year go on a tear. Burrow had a little more talent around him, ends up obviously winning the title, Heisman. Jaden Daniels, 10-3, gets dusted in the SEC championship, Heisman.
Yeah.
Nussmeier's there for a second season.
You're right.
And I think that, I agree with you. But he's also had a better year last year than either Burrow or Daniels had those years before winning the Heisman and winning the national championship. So, whilst I would tell you today, I would bet money on Nussmeier doing what either of those two did. You kind of have to. I wrote it in there. I was like, I'm a guy that I love trends. I like following a trend, tracking a trend, believing in a trend. And I would say that there's a little bit of a trend there at LSU where if they can get that guy to stay for that extra year, generally it works out. They spent a ton of money in the transfer portal at the wide receiver position. They brought in a couple of guys, Berrien Brown, Nick Anderson. They brought in a couple of guys last year. Like, that situation is very alluring to look at from the perspective of he's not even the most experienced guy, right? You said, I think he's got, I wrote it in here. I think he's got 12 career starts, 14.
Yeah, I think it was 14, right? 14. Yeah, 14.
There you go. And 31 games played. So I think he's in an interesting spot. Yeah, I don't know. So who was the one guy I wrote it in here? I got so much on my brain. He was the co-offensive coordinator and quarterback coach while Burrow was at LSU. So Joe Brady was the OC when Burrow was there back in 19. Ensminger. He's 66 years old. He's an analyst at LSU. He was there when Burrow was there. He was also there when Daniels was there, and he's still there today. Two different staffs. And I know people, like, I wrote in there, I was like, people generally like be like, that's stupid. Like, why does that matter? But like, I told Alex yesterday, like, I think of Clyde Christensen and how much you hear, like, Tom Brady talked about him that last year when he was in Tampa. And he's like, these quarterback coaches, especially at the young age, Brady's 40 and he's talking about this quarterback coach. You think about a mentor or somebody that's seen it happen not once, but twice at the quarterback position at that school with talent around you. Like, this is when these guys grow the most. We've heard coaches talk about that forever. These players and these quarterbacks grow the most in college. They don't want you to come to the NFL and grow. They want you to grow in college, then go to the NFL. And it might not sound great as a Longhorn fan, but I think LSU's sitting in an interesting spot here with Nussmeier.
Yeah.
And I could see him making a run. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I completely get your point, and I admit it's not even recency bias. I'm judging him on his worst night, and I shouldn't be doing that, but that's the feeling I keep getting when I think of him. But it's a great point, and I'll make another point on LSU here in a second. I think they're a really interesting team to watch this season. Thank you guys for jumping in today. Over 400 of you already in the Specs chat, and we'll be thanking some of our great partners today, as always, like these folks, the good folks at the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Get on out there. There are 9 flavors of Deep Eddy Vodka now that pineapple has made its debut, and it is quickly becoming my favorite. Get on out there like I'm going to do. At some point in August, we're trying to get it set up before the season. I'm going to get out there with some friends, and like we've done, we celebrate Sherry's birthday. That's what we do when we get out to Deep Eddy Vodka. She's got an August birthday, and we use that as a great excuse to go have some of these cocktails. Thursdays, 12 to 7. Friday and Saturday, 11 to 7. Sunday, 12 to 5. You're out in beautiful Dripping Springs, out in the hill country there. Make sure you do it safely, of course. Drink responsibly and all that good stuff. Deep Eddy is all about having a good, safe time. They're also about some good barbecue, too. Crimson Creek Smokehouse, right there on site. The food truck, right on site. You order it on your phone. They tell you when it's ready. You go up to the front. Barbecue's great, too. So make sure you tell them you heard about it on Orange Bloods Live and get on out there to the Deep Eddy Vodka Tasting Room. Cody, in terms of LSU, to kind of go there, this week in my post on orangebloods.com, I looked at the first week, and there are 6 SEC teams that are carrying the flag in big games, big ones. Nobody's at home. None of them. This has got to be the first time in history that Bama, LSU, Auburn, and Texas start with true road games. Not Atlanta, true road games. Now, Tennessee and South Carolina also have one of those Atlanta games. But with LSU, it's LSU at Clemson. This is Tigers and Tigers. This is desperation at desperation for me. And for Longhorn fans that'll follow this season, the one team I would tell them to follow that's not on the schedule is LSU. Make sure you know what that team is doing, because if they can get a win, Brian Kelly hasn't won his opener yet at LSU. If they get that win by the time September's over, Cody, and I'm going to get into this a little deeper next week on orangebloods.com, looking at the September stuff. They're going to play Florida, and they're going to go to Ole Miss in September. So LSU is definitely a team to pay attention to. Nussmeier and what he is, and the point you just laid out has to be considered, because if you're right, if Ensminger matters, if second year matters, then it's look out for LSU. And then the next time they do face my team, they're going to host the Aggies on October 25th. Do you think they're going to want that one after what happened in College Station last year? Good grief. That's one where the Aggie defense better be paying attention if it turns into that LSU. So that's a team I would definitely tell Texas fans, pay attention to. Do not lose sight of LSU just because they're not on your schedule. The Tigers are going to be really interesting. So we're looking at we're talking quarterbacks today, and the fact that, I kind of structured it around, hey, the children will lead them. Not children as in 10-year-olds, but just inexperience is really leading everybody. So to Cody's point earlier, when everybody wants to harp on, my God, Arch only has 2 starts. Well, okay, go around the conference. Go to the biggest teams in the conference And it really is, if you want to say, and again, Cody, it's what brings us back to LSU. Who's the quarterback that has the best talent around him that has the most starts? That's clearly Nussmeier, right? Does anybody else have that level of talent around them and as many starts as he does? Like, let's look at it again. Is there anybody that we could argue? He's got 14 starts and all that talent. Stockton's got one.
Yeah.
Again, Bama, Ole Miss, and Missouri are combined for none. That's wild. And whatever we would say, Cody, about Bama and Florida State, and by the way, true road game, they're going to Tallahassee. That's not in Atlanta. Ty Simpson's got no starts. None. If it's him, it's his first start. And that cat that was at BC that's coming over to Florida State, you know what he's done? He's started games.
Flapping his gum. That's what he's doing.
He's done that too. But maybe that matters, and maybe it doesn't matter at all. But Ty Simpson's going to make his very first start in Tallahassee, and that is that game can't even be close for Bama fans, right? That you just try winning that game by 4. I dare you. I dare Kalen DeBoer to win that one by 4. Win that game 24-20 and see what the post-game call-in shows like in Tuscaloosa. That game needs to be, in their mind, it needs to be a blowout, and you're in that kid's first start. That's just, it's crazy. So, again, to keep in mind on LSU, that's the team with the most talent that's got the most starts for their quarterback, I think.
I would agree with that. I think you're right as far as the most talent around them on that whole right side of that column. I would give that to LSU. I think you can make an argument for I can't really make an argument. I think there's a couple of pieces I like on A&M, a couple of pieces I like on South Carolina, but as far as the overall, you're running back, Caden Durham at LSU with the 5 receivers technically, I guess, at LSU, it's really not that close. It's interesting you bring up the Ty Simpson thing quick, because I know it's a different regime technically with Saban gone, but he's still in the building to a certain extent. And I do believe in DeBoer. He's one of my favorites. I know Catch has talked about it. He's one of his favorites. I believe in him, and Alabama's been the one on this whole list that has the most quarterbacks that have entered the season with no starts, and they've still made the SEC championship, dating back to Jake Coker, who is literally the definition of this whole thing, won the national championship with no starts and 100 career pass attempts on an Alabama roster that's stacked up in 2015. 0 starts. Hurts did it the following year with 0 starts. Mac Jones did it with 0 starts. Bryce Young did it with 0 starts. Milroe did it with 1. So they've had 4 times in the last decade that they've made the SEC championship with a quarterback that entered the season with nothing.
That is incredible. And the other thing I'll bring up, it's sort of like your LSU thing where second year and Insminger, the Ryan Grubb thing has to be mentioned with Alabama. The guy that dialed up Michael Penix. You want to talk about a quarterback that nobody talked about at his previous spot? Michael Penix at Indiana, it's okay, right? Yeah. He's all right. Michael Penix at Washington was different. And the guy that gets credit for dialing that up was Ryan Grubb. He got a year in the NFL. It didn't work out in Seattle, I believe, is where he was. And now he's back with DeBoer. So that's something I'm watching with Alabama. When I watch that Bama-Florida State game, that's one of the things in my mind. What does this offense look like with Simpson? You know he's going to have talent. We've all seen Ryan Williams play, just to name one guy. You know they're going to be talented. So that's definitely a factor for me as well, the whole Ryan Grubb thing. All right, I see those super chats for Cody. We will get to those. Let's give the good folks at Texas Card House some love. You see that logo up there in the upper right? I'll give you a little more info on them. If you say Orange Bloods when you check in, 1 month of free club membership and 2 hours of free poker play. 6 locations there. There's probably one near you if you're in the great state of Texas. So get on over there and check them out. And if you don't have time for that today, you may have time for Hijack Poker. Go to hijackpoker.com. This is Texas Card House getting you, the great folks in Texas. Got to be in the state of Texas, getting you online poker. Put it on any device you want. Scan the code right there. Hijack Poker. And thanks to Texas Card House for being a great partner of ours. All right, we got some chats, super chats in for Cody to deal with. S. Roan threw us $5. We appreciate it. If you break down Mateer's stats, you'll see most of his good games came from playing the easier teams, and he struggled against the better teams. Esrone, thank you for that. That's something I know Ketch has pointed out, Cody, when looking at Mateer and another team in Oklahoma that early on, I want to see them play Michigan. I want to see them play Auburn. How much can a quarterback with some experience really matter? It's 12 starts, and you threw the numbers out there. There are some good numbers, but the competition thing, I think, is key there.
Well, I agree with what Ketch has always said, based on, he's saying, like, the last time we saw him against Wyoming was cheeks. Like, I get that. And I also get what Esron's saying. Like, everything, all of his good stuff is coming around, against Portland State, Northern Colorado, Colorado State, and Hawaii. But you also, like, last year was an interesting year with Washington State just because they didn't really get to play the Pac-12 for what it once was. I think the bigger takeaway here is something we've talked about already with Nussmeier, second year. Arch Manning, everyone says he's inexperienced, but it's a different situation. The dude's been in Austin for 1,000 days. Like, that matters. Yeah. Like,
that's a great number, by the way.
Yeah,
kudos to you for throwing in the 1,000-day comment in the story. That was good.
I was like, dog, like, do you understand how long? 700 days ago, Nick Chubb was looked at as one of the best running backs in NFL, and now what's Nick Chubb doing? Like, things change.
Yeah,
things change. So the Mateer thing to me is sort of like Nussmeier, sort of like Arch, in the aspect of who's his OC.
His OC Arbuckle. Is right. The guy coming from, what's his name?
Washington State. Ben Arbuckle.
Arbuckle. Yes. Thank you.
So, but that's the same dude, and he's got more talent around him. And as much as everybody likes to, dookie on the team up north, it's like it's a better team. It's a better roster than even what was at Washington State, even though it's not an elite SEC roster. It's more talent around you. Yeah. It's more protection. It's a better running back, more weapons. They got a nice tight end. Like, there's more weaponry there. John Mateer's matured another year. And when you're predicting, like, I like Mateer. I like Mateer projecting to the NFL today more than I like Nussmeier today. Now, that can always change in the next 200 days. We just talked about that a minute ago with Nussmeier, with Burrow and Daniels. Nobody going into the season thought Burrow and Daniels were going to be Heisman Trophy winning, national champion for Burrow and, SEC championship competitor in Daniels.
Yeah.
People think that in Nussmeier right now. Mateer is the ever definition of college quarterback, the Manziel, the Baker, the Case Keenum, your Colt Brennans, these dudes that are just gamers, sickos. Diego Pavia is just sickos that can play the game of football.
And you know what else he is, Cody? You were there in Atlanta. He's magnetic. He's likable. You watch him for about 15 seconds and you realize why someone would follow him on a football field. Like, it takes that long to see it. He's one of those dudes. He's got that magical quality to him. They're going to follow him. They're going to care in the huddle.
That dude would be super good as a Longhorn if you just call a spade a spade.
Oh, good Lord. And if you put a nasty roster around him, that's the whole thing. Like, how good is this roster really going to be? How much does the Arbuckle thing matter? And then that's a great point. We've talked about 3 of them now. The LSU thing, I mentioned the Bama thing, and then there's this Oklahoma thing where it's like, hey, this guy, you got to give this coach credit for a connection, and then let's see what the quarterback looks like. But that's, Esrone, we totally get it. But then you watch some of that film, and there's some really good stuff with Mateer. I'm interested to see it. Again, I will keep telling Longhorn fans, and I'll expand a little bit on orangebloods.com next week. When we get to September, Longhorn fans, whatever you're doing off of that Ohio State game and getting ready for the 3 games you're going to win, get popcorn and watch other games, because Oklahoma is going to host Michigan and Auburn in September and give you a good indication of what you're going to have to deal with in Dallas. Just something to keep in mind. Here's another thing to keep in mind. ATX Bates always sending thought-provoking super chats. $4.99. Thank you, sir. Cody, excuse me. Do you trust Brian Kelly as far as Nussmeier can throw him? Buy or sell, would you swap out Florida for LSU in 2025 as a road game? Oh, now that's a fascinating set of circumstances. Start with the first one, Cody. Do you trust Brian Kelly as far as Nussmeier can throw Brian Kelly?
I'm not the biggest Brian Kelly fan, but why do I have to trust Brian Kelly for Garrett Nussmeier to succeed? I don't think those two things. I don't think I have to trust him to see him win. Kelly's also proved that he can win. Like, yeah, maybe he struggles sometimes in that opener, but I mean, this is a guy, he's basically won everywhere he's been. So I think that with the roster around you, there's no reason that this guy can't go 11-1. And I mean, the schedules could tell you he might not go 11-1, but the point is, I think he can definitely at least get close to the finish line. And then all it takes in this day and age is getting to the playoffs. Is the old term for the NFL was just get into the playoff, and we'll see what happens from there. I think that there's Brian Kelly. I mean, yeah, I don't really care about Brian Kelly. I think this is a Nussmeier thing more than anything, of just his maturation, his growth, and I don't put that on Brian Kelly.
Right. I think my reaction to that, Bates, would be there was a day and age when Brian Kelly was a yelling, screaming, red-faced maniac when it came to quarterbacks. He did, I think, make an adjustment. He self-assessed in a way that not a lot of coaches will do when he was at Notre Dame. And he realized after, I think it was a 4-8 season, he took a full look at everything. And he brought everybody in and said, what's the problem? And he listened to the ones that said, Coach, it's you. And he's tried to calm himself down a little bit. He's a little more of a kinder, gentler, Brian Kelly. The issue, it's like, if he can be that and a little calmer because that was his thing. He was grinding quarterbacks into the ground. Like, if we go ask, what's the cat at Notre Dame that was at Notre Dame? Book. Ian Book. Oh, my God. I bet Ian Book still goes to therapy over some of the stuff Brian Kelly was doing to him, but he's calmed himself down a little bit. Now, to the second part, Cody, I would not make that swap if I'm Texas. If you could do that right now, no. I'd rather go to, all due respect to the Swamp, I'll take the Swamp over Tiger Stadium if it's already on my schedule. I'm not going to ask to play at Tiger Stadium because they're going to make it a night game. Hell no. I'm not doing that. I'll stay in Gainesville. What about you?
Well, I was thinking about it from a fan perspective, from a team perspective. I don't want to touch LSU until the conference championship if I don't have to. I think that team is.
You're right. If you're talking about fan trips, you'd swap it, but you're not swapping for football reasons.
Yeah, I mean Death Valley's brutal in itself for night games, especially the last decade compared to the Swamp. From a talent perspective, who you'd like to play. I mean, you're going to have a trench advantage against LSU, I think, this year. Mm-hmm. Weaponry, they're probably going to edge Texas out, currently at today. They probably edge you out from a receiver, tight end, running back perspective, just barely. But Florida's going to be honestly tougher in the trenches, I think, for Texas. And I think that's going to be a night game in the Swamp. That would be fun from a fan perspective to go watch. And I think it'll be an easier win for Texas.
Yeah, and you're right about that. I'd be shocked if that game's not. I don't think that's been set officially yet.
It's also like, I get the Nuss actually, Arch going back to New Orleans or whatever, Baton Rouge against Nussmeier probably gets good numbers. But I think it's way easier to sell Arch Lagway 1 and be like, it's Florida and Texas. Like, all due respect to LSU, the Florida, the Gator logo and the horn logo, those do numbers.
It's gonna be cool, man. Either way, I'm not even gonna split those hairs. Either way, either one. Florida hosts Texas or LSU hosts Texas. It's just a show I want to see either way. Like, that's just two badass games. ATX Bates, as always, we appreciate it. How about this, Cody? You just made kind of a fight reference, and Rex wants to make one about you. Pound for pound, Cody's the best contributor to this channel. How about that?
Pound for
Look at that.
Thank you, Rex. Pound for pound is interesting because I'm pretty heavy. I'm not the lightest. I don't think I'm the lightest. So I'll take that as a.
I like that.
Thank you, Rex.
Yeah, I like that Rex thinks we have weight divisions. I love it. And then this one just makes me feel old. This is not a real thing, is it? Chris Bennett says, Cody, scouting report on Vince Young's son. This is not a real thing, right? Vince Young does not have like a scoutable son, does he?
Correct. He does.
Oh God.
He does, and he's in the class of 2028.
Okay.
I made a tweet one time because Vince put out a post on Instagram about a year ago. I think his name's Jamin. Yeah, Jamin Young.
Okay.
He's 2028. He's from Kincaid. He goes to the Kincaid school. I think
Is
he's
he a
class
quarterback?
2028. Quarterback, yeah.
Oh my God. That's the kind of kid I would tell him do anything but quarterback, but hey, good luck to you. Good luck.
So, Chris, I don't know if this is a question or a telling me. I'll do it though.
Yeah, he just wants it. He just says, do you have any scouting report on him right now? Have you had a
I
chance
don't
to
have it
look
right
at
now, but
it? Okay.
if you hit that QR code in the top left, or if you're already over there, I promise you,
There you go.
we got what? How many days until kickoff? We got about 35, 40 days. We got some
We're at
time.
37 today. 37.
Gosh, close.
1 week from today, we'll hit 30 days until Texas. So today's 37. So for the Chris Bennett's of the world that love to do their jersey things, today is Ricky Williams honoring Doak Walker days. Remember that? Remember that 37? That was a good day. Texas against Oklahoma. Holy smokes.
Dude, 37 is a tough number for the jersey game.
Yeah, it's tough. That's why I always go to that one because it's real easy. That's a Ricky pays tribute that day, and he ran for like 7,000 yards in that jersey, and that was because I think that's the day of the play fake Wayne McGarity touchdown over the top. Texas won that game like it was honestly the similar score to what we've just seen. It was like 34-3, something like that. 37-3, 28-3. I mean, they killed OU. Oh my Lord.
34-3.
Yeah. And also Eagle, you're in a little late. Yes, we talked about Hulk Hogan at the beginning of the show. Rest in peace to Hulk Hogan, dead at the age of 71. We did talk about that. Crazy. My wife hits me up today with, I guess that's the third one. She's a believer in that 3 thing. And Malcolm
I've never
Jamal,
heard that before.
I know that the people that follow this stuff, Cody, they're all about famous people die in 3s. That's their thing. And I've always thought, well, mathematically, like it's going to happen. Yeah, I guess. But they believe it strongly. And so once Malcolm Jamal Warner died, they start looking and bracing. And then when Ozzy dies, my wife said it to me last night. I wonder who's next. I wonder who's next. Who's the third person? And then they wake up today and think it's Hulk Hogan. So there you go.
Did you know that Ozzy planned to do an assisted death like next month?
Is that right? No, I hadn't heard that.
So my wife told me this. My wife works in medicine, and she came. We were talking about it last night, and she's like, "Did you know he was going to go like he had like planned everything out to where he was going to go? I can't remember where she said it was at. You have to go to a certain country. Was it Switzerland?
Wow.
He'd drawn up plans to go to an assisted death flat in Switzerland if he were to have an illness that affects his brain, and he had been planning that. I think it was supposed to be like next month or the following month or something along those lines, I think she said. Wow. But I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that. Like, obviously he had his tribute thing a couple of weeks ago, but
I hadn't heard that either. I do have the theory that I had. I don't know if this is true, but I get this feeling that the people that showed up for that last show probably had a sense of, get here if you can, that kind of a thing. That they had a sense of, we're going to get him on that. He wants to get on that stage one more time, but we are because Ozzy literally had a tour called No More Tours. Yeah. He was gonna stop at the No More Tears era in the 90s, but he didn't. Obviously, kept going because he's Ozzy. And this one, though, I don't know. I had that feeling like I wonder how many people sensed it and knew it. And I mean, people were bawling the last time he sang "Mama, I'm Coming Home," and that's the other thing about me as an Ozzy fan. There's like so many Ozzy songs that now when you rehear them, the lyrics are just like getting you in a different way where he's talking about life and death and all these different things. So, but I had not heard that he was thinking of an assisted death situation. Dealing with Parkinson's has to be just so awful. And maybe that's one bit of, I don't know, not positivity, but if the family was prepped for that, then maybe that moment wasn't as crazy for them, like they knew he was in bad shape. And especially if they knew that he was thinking along those lines, then maybe this week wasn't quite, maybe this week was a little more, the pain is over and the struggle is over, instead of, because it, on some level, it wasn't like an, oh my God, I just can't believe that Ozzy's gone. Like, there's parts of it, I think certainly the family and friends could believe it based on what he was going through. So it has been a crazy, crazy situation. And ATX Bates, you smart ass, Chad's been killing celebrities longer than South Park has been out. You know what? This is not on me. Don't do this. Don't do that for me. The theme of me killing celebrities
What
was
does it
about,
even mean?
back in my radio days, I got accused of killing multiple celebrities, but it was a certain kind of celebrity. It was a celebrity that I wasn't a massive fan of, and that I would kind of give like a, no, I respect them, but I'm not like their biggest fan. And at that point, my co-host would go, oh, there you go. Dude's going to die, or she's going to die. Look out, death watch. And so I got accused of killing David Bowie, Scott Weiland of STP. Those are the two that stand out to me. But trust me on this one. There's no way that especially these last two, go into that category. As big of a wrestling fan as I am, as big of a Ozzy fan as I am. No, I'm not taking responsibility for either of those people. But I still have friends, Cody, that when someone famous dies, they text me, did you do this?
I feel like when I read that, I thought the killing celebs thing was more of like you like being like, oh, didn't that guy die a couple years ago and he's like still alive type of situation. But
oh no, I have had a couple of those too, and then they'll remember that. So I got to be careful on those when I say, okay, are they dead or are they alive? Because if I ever do that one, when I did that on the radio, then if that person dies, like if I'd done that on the radio
right away,
oh my God, like 2 weeks ago, if I'd said, hey, is Hulk Hogan still around? And then he dies like within a month, then I get blamed for it. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on. All right. So we cleaned off the super chats. We appreciate you guys jumping in today. Cody Carpentier jumping in for Catch today at the water park, being a dad. Good luck to Catch on that one. Speaking of being a dad, Tom McKay is a dad to Camilla, and now Camilla works at AV Consultations. Here's more of what they can do for you, whether it's setting up for the football season or anything else. Check out this cool stuff.
Hi, everyone. This is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations. We've been serving and assisting customers in the Texas area
I think I got this by now, old man. This is Camilla McKay, Audiovisual's social media and website manager. Our company has been helping you sit back and relax for the last 37 years. We come to you, and we're the kind of workers you want in your home. We give you all the advice at a great price, and we do a lot more than just audiovisual systems. We have employees capable of performing services like electrical contracting, heated floors, motorized shades. Am I forgetting anything, old man?
Yeah, we do surveillance systems, controlled lighting systems, and landscape lighting, computer networks, multi-room audio systems, and of course, we install some really cool theaters.
I had a feeling you were going to say that last one.
Now, am I forgetting anything?
Only this. Remember to hug your kids, laugh with strangers, and make love to whoever the hell you want.
So give us a call at 512-255-8678.
Or visit us online at avconsultations.com.
That's 512-255-8678.
If you want to throw any super chats in, we will get to those. I also have a special Behind Enemy Lines edition of Buy or Sell for Cody. I'm going to get his thoughts on 5 different teams that Texas is going to play this year with some buy or sells. Before we do that, though, Cody, I want to look at this rough graphic I made off of your article one more time, because there's one game that I'm not saying blinking. That's not the right word. There's a game that I don't want Texas Longhorn fans to forget, because it's easy to forget. But I'm going to put this up one more time. It's a name they kind of know. Look at this right column and Kentucky. Zach Calzada is the guy that was at A&M, and he's going to be probably the guy at Kentucky. 33 career starts. Maybe that matters. Maybe it doesn't. But the reason I bring it up is Texas plays Kentucky on the road right after they have played OU and Florida. They're going to play Florida on the 4th. They're going to play OU on the 11th. And on the 18th, they have got to go to Lexington and get back up and ready to go. So just a game to kind of keep in mind. Just kind of keep that one in your back pocket. We'll watch how Kentucky starts. Kentucky's got a couple of games. They're going to play Ole Miss in September. They're going to play at South Carolina in September. So those may be ones you peek in on if you're a Texas fan. But Cody, I've been trying to compute what that would feel like. I'll never know physically what it's like to play in the Red River game. And I don't care if you whip them. I always hear about how that's a different level of physicality, but that will follow whatever happens in Gainesville. And you just talked about the line of scrimmage battle there. Gators have some line of scrimmage. That's going to be 2 straight wars after an off week. But then there is no off week for Kentucky. And oh, by the way, the Wildcats do get a bye week before they play Texas. So they're off a bye. Texas isn't for that game. Just something to keep in mind. And Calzada, if y'all remember, he was all right. When he's good, he's all right. He's not awesome, Cody. I'll tell you as an Aggie fan, Calzada had his moments of there was ups and downs, but I'm going to at least give him, Stoops, and that crew enough respect to say that's a game. If I'm a Texas fan, I am not forgetting about that one because it is in a trap spot and a trap situation.
I think one of the trappiest spots of the year. I've gotten, hammered a little bit on Orange Bloods for predicting a potential loss against Florida, but the Kentucky one, I was looking at that one last year. That one was at DKR at 11 a.m. Going to Lexington, I think it was a great call up by you. Is you look at the last 2 years in Lexington, those night games. It's not even just about going to Lexington. Right. We'll come off the bye. The night game at Kroger Field, Kirby Smart's talked about that. You go back to last year, Georgia played in Kentucky in week 3. Remember that game? 12-13.
I was going to say, isn't that the one that went down to the wire and Georgia barely got them?
Barely got them, 12-13. Obviously, it was not a good football team last year by Kentucky. The year before, speaking of midseason coming off a bye, Tennessee played Kentucky at a night game off a bye right before Halloween, 33-27. Tennessee was a top 20 team at that point. It's this. That's the definition of any given Saturday every week in the SEC. It doesn't matter. And that's where you can get got. That's the only way. That's the only place, when they say experience matters and stuff like this, I don't think in totality it does for success in the SEC. Yes, you can look at the last 10 years and you can say, well, Quinn and Carson Beck had more than 20 starts, and Daniels had more than 20 starts. It's rare. The thing is where you get got. You get got in these spots like a Pavia gets you. You go to Vandy and you get, they get Alabama or potentially Kentucky with Calzada. I mean, Mississippi State's not going to be good, but there's going to be a game or two where Mississippi State all of a sudden is still biting at your Achilles, with 3 minutes left in the game. And Arkansas as well. Taylor Green's still underrated, and he's got 35 career starts. Those are the ones where you just got to make sure you show up every Saturday against those 4 bad teams. Because if you go to their place, go to Fayetteville, go to Lexington, go to Nashville. Those are going to be tough situations.
Yeah, the good news for Texas, obviously, is they don't play a historic rival away from home. Or excuse me, they don't play them on the road. You got Dallas and you got 2 home games with Arkansas and A&M. But that Kentucky game is one of those. And remember, that's also a 5-game stretch of Florida, Oklahoma, at Kentucky that we talked about. Then you go to Starkville. Cowbells, and they're going to be they'll be as ready as they can be, whatever that means. Crowd will be pumped up because you're Texas and they'll hate you. And then the very next week is Pavia. Back home, the good news, but you play Pavia. There's those 3 in a row, Cody, are games Texas fans are assuming a win, and they should. They should. I'm not telling them not to, but those are the ones that deep down you're like, okay, fellas, how we playing today? How we doing? Are you going to have to fight through one? And I think that Lexington game is one, just like you said about that Tennessee score, it could be that. I would not predict that as a loss for Texas, but a hard-fought win, I could see it. I could totally see it. Weird game, bad game. Arch is a little sluggish. The team just feels like they've just played Florida and Oklahoma, and they need to battle to get it. I could totally see that happening. And that, again, is the 18th of October. All right. Before we get the buyer sells to Cody, let's hear a little bit from Specs. Almost 600 of you in the Specs chat. Here is Lisa.
Texans know for selection and lower prices, it all starts at Specs.
Shop Specs.
With all your favorites on tap, you'll bring home the win. Boots on, drinks up. The fun starts here.
All right, Cody, we just scratched the surface on your article on orangebloods.com. Again, I thank you for not only doing it, but allowing us to kind of break it down a little bit today. I encourage people to get up there to that QR code in the upper left, go to orangebloods.com, get signed up, go check out Cody's article and all the other great stuff. Heck, I was looking at Catch put out the Truth and Lies article today about some recruiting stuff, including about whether or not Texas is going to flip somebody from A&M late in the process. Want to read the latest on that? Go to orangebloods.com. Cody, anything else from your article or kind of, where your thought process is this week? Anything else before we hit this by ourselves?
Well, I would just say that for those that still consume ESPN content, be careful who you consume it from. And that's a Jordan Rodgers finger point.
Ooh, I see.
The Jordan Rodgers thing was the impetus of this whole column, really. And him saying that, and I quote, Arch has a very high floor, does not have an elite arm talent, does not have elite arm ability, lacks the ability to manipulate the pocket, make guys miss, lacks the ability to change his arm angle, and he's a really good quarterback, but that you need to pump the brakes on the Arch Manning conversation. Listen, man, even if all those things were true, he could still be Kirk Cousins. He could still be Eli Manning.
Yeah.
And if you really dig into it, which one of my favorite analysts in the space, favorite YouTube channels is the film guy, Brooks Austin. Does a phenomenal video breaking down every single one of those data points, or those not data points, those opinions from Jordan Rodgers, and nukes it with Arch tape. In those bad games, yes, against ULM and UTSA, blah, 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 nukes it.
And see, this is the thing. I'll just take one of them, Cody. Maybe it's that I watched, because I heard some of those comments. I'm thinking through it. I'm like, wait a second. So when I watch Arch throw a deep ball, it feels like a good thing to me, right? And then I thought, well, wait a second. Is it because I've watched Quinn throw deep balls for a couple years and he wasn't as good at it? But to me, when Arch lets that deep ball go, that thing flies out of his hand. It feels aggressive to me. I don't know if I'm not the one to judge, does somebody have elite arm talent, but I don't think Arch's arm talent is anything to like discuss in some average setting. Like, I feel like the arm's really good, but I don't know, maybe I'm not seeing it. But like for you, when you read that part or heard that part about elite arm talent, did you disagree with that as well?
Yeah, because I in particular put a clip on here from the Mississippi State game where he drops back. He had a 8-yard drop and he puts a football at what ends up being around 53 yards in the air in a bucket.
Yeah.
DeAndre Moore for a touchdown. Well, he's getting sacked like this. Like, that's arm talent. That's a definition of it. And like, as someone who has spent the last 6-7 years going to pro days and combines and camps and practices and evaluating players of all positions, it's not something that is very hard to see when you're watching. And that's what is mind-boggling from a guy that's literally played in the SEC. His brother's got the most arm talent, in my opinion, in the history of the game, outside of now Patrick Mahomes, I think. How do you not just have like this guy's got arm talent, and just be like, he does not have elite arm talent? You're like, okay, what are you watching? Are you watching? Right. Are you just giving Spitfire because they gave you 5 minutes on ESPN? And like, I talked to Paul Feinbaum about this last week when he, I talked to him for like 5 minutes on the Football with Friends show. And then after we got off air, I was like, the Tebow comment that Feinbaum had. He's like, you know how it is, you get like a first take or a get up and they want Spitfire from you. And I just wonder if a little bit of that Jordan Rodgers thing is situationally like, you got a minute, give us your best. They just like rip it out. And like, you say things you don't really mean.
Yeah, because I get the theory. If you want to go down the road of only 2 starts and here are the teams he started against, and maybe you pump the brakes because of that, got to see it. Okay. But then what you have seen, I do think there's even in that little bit of time, I thought there was some progression that we saw. And Cody, I still go back. I can still see it. There is a deep cross that he throws to Wingo in the Mississippi State game. And I remember the moment I saw it, I thought, holy crap, he's learning. It was like a Terminator movie when you realize the computers were learning. And I'm like, dude is getting, he's adding stuff. That'd be the downside for me if I'm a Texas fan. Even if I was one of those people that said, hey, they decided Quinn was going to play, Quinn's going to play. The shame of Arch being taken out when he was taken out was you could feel that progress happening, and then it kind of has to be put away. I can't wait to see where that ends up, but I trust the hell out of that kid's arm. And maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I trust the heck out of 16's arm. It looks really good to me. So we'll see. So there's your final word from Cody. Be careful when the brother of an NFL quarterback you trust says things you might not trust. He may be just a bachelorette guy. You never know. You never know. I would trust him on hair care, though. His hair looks good. Hair looks good. He's a handsome man, that Jordan Rodgers, but some people didn't like the quarterback thing. Okay, before we get to buy or sell then, Cody, give me because I know one of the things you ripped him for and others are ripping him for is he put Arch at 5. What would your top 5 SEC quarterbacks look like right now as we head into the season?
Top 5 SEC quarterbacks for the 2025 football season.
Yeah.
Well, I put
the media put Sellers first, correct?
Yeah, I put my SEC team, my all conference ballot. I put Arch 1, Nussmeier 2, Sellers 3.
Okay,
that was my off the rip. That was my top 3. After Sellers, and I think all 3 of those are honestly interchangeable. But I would go Arch, Nussmeier, Sellers, and I'll look at this from the perspective of I need to win one game today. Who do I want at the helm? So I'll go Arch, Nussmeier, Sellers, Mateer.
Interesting.
So that's 4. Mateer's at 4.
Yeah.
I would probably take Lagway 5.
Okay. I was wondering where Lagway was. Okay.
And then Pavia.
Lagway, then Pavia?
Lagway, then Pavia.
Lagway, Pavia. Okay.
And then I would have to throw in one of the inexperienced guys, and I would probably take – I kind of like Austin Simmons. I kind of like the Ole Miss kid.
He's really interesting. He is going to be pretty fun to watch. That dude can sling.
And Chad, if you would have been at SEC Media Days and you would have walked up there, blank, like Alien drops down.
Yeah.
He's seen all – this guy – okay, so Alien drops down. This is the Alex analogy, right? Alien drops down, has never seen anybody in that building before, but knows like what Joe Burrow looks like, what Tua Tagovailoa looks like, what Mike – all these different guys, right?
Right.
Guys that are in the league.
Yeah.
You don't know anybody that's in this SEC media building. You walk in there and you would have walked up to the Austin Simmons booth and you would have been like, why is Tua Tagovailoa here? And that's nothing to do with the fact that the guy throws the football left-handed. He looks identical.
He looks exactly like him.
Identical.
That's
and then
great.
One thing he said when he was up there, he was like, I don't know why people keep like comparing me to Tua. And me and Alex just looked at each other. We're like, well, I don't know, because you're left-handed, you're 5'11", and you look like his twin brother.
And if someone played him, and if someone was playing him in a movie, they'd have you be his stunt double. What are you?
Yes.
What are you talking about? Yeah, that guy's interesting too. No starts. And again, back to your graphic, just one more time. Left side of the screen, Austin Simmons, lower left there. No career starts. He has appeared in 9 games with 32 pass attempts. And then Cody, that's one where I'll give him some attention because I think there's an interest in Ole Miss anyway with Lane Kiffin. Like, Lane Kiffin's the coach. We know what that offense wants to do. Not a conservative offense. I trust him to go up and down the field and throw some points up. And, he's going to be – they're going to be trying to score a lot. And Ole Miss, another team I would tell Texas fans, just kind of peek in. I know they're not on your schedule, but By the way, you know what Ole Miss is going to do in early September, Cody? They're going to go to Kroger Field. They're going to go play Kentucky early on. They also play Arkansas and LSU in September. So we're going to get a good look at all these teams, obviously, with the way it lays out. All right, before we get out of here and before I let Cody get out of here, I want to get his thoughts on 5 teams that Texas will play. We'll do a little buy or sell. This is the behind enemy lines version of buy or sell. Cody, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. We're starting with the Gators. Buy or sell number 1. Florida is at LSU and at Miami before they host Texas. That's back-to-back weeks. You still think the Gators are undefeated on October 4th?
I'm going to go sell. I've had this battle in my mind a few times because I think that the Texas game is most interesting because Texas is going to be coming off of scrub-a-dub-dub the 3 previous weeks, UTSA, Sam Houston.
Scrub-a-dub-dub. I've never heard that part of a schedule called scrub-a-dub-dub. I like that.
Well, dub. San Jose, UTEP, and Sam Houston. It's like you got that, then you got to buy. Yes, you're going to be in I don't question Sark's going to have the team prepared for that, but it's the level of play. You got Ohio State, then it's like, all right, 2.5 quarters of starters, and then you got Florida. And like I said before, I think that the trench thing is going to be different. The reason I bring that up is because you look at that. Like I said, San Jose, UTEP, Sam Houston, bye. And then you look at the Florida side, and it's boom, boom on the road.
Right. And then they get a bye. They do get a bye going in.
And you're getting punched in the mouth. And that Florida team could be either cooking with some peanut oil or absolutely wrecked by the time they get to Texas. And I think it all hinges on DJ Lagway. And I as growing up a Miami Hurricane fan, I don't know if you knew that or not, but that's being in Minnesota. I hated the Gophers. I was a Hurricane fan.
Boy,
I think they handle Miami. I love that game.
Yeah.
I think that LSU does get them though. So I'll go sell. Long ass winded answer. I'll go sell. I think Florida loses to LSU, beats Miami, and that Florida Texas game is massive.
Yeah, the way all these games tie together, I love this. The schedule's playing out this way that we get LSU at Clemson, and then how does that set up a game like Florida at LSU, and then they have to go to South Beach the very next week. Just think about the weather part of that. If nothing else, you're going to Death Valley and you're going to South Beach in September. If they catch the right humidity in both, oh my God, they're going to need 5 weeks to get ready for Texas. That's a beautiful part of it if you're a Texas fan, because from the wear and tear standpoint, you might get a Gators team. Oh my God, that's what. Oh, and then one step further, Cody, for people like me, the very next week, you know where Florida goes? College Station. They're going to be
dog tired by that point.
Right. They play the Aggies on October 11th, and that's a game A&M really needs to get. Last year was the game where by the end of it, I was so glad that Florida didn't know Lagway was that good, because if they played Lagway the whole game, I think it might have been could have been a different outcome in the Swamp. Now that game's in College Station with Lagway all the way. We'll see what that looks like too. Okay, let's get to another team on Texas's schedule. Buy or sell number 2, plain and simple. You have Texas losing in Athens.
Buy.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's
I don't want to say much more because I'll get crushed in the chat, but I'll just say buy. That's a very tough environment. They've won 19 in a row at home. Interesting thing, I can't remember what column I wrote it in or if I tweeted or something, but I didn't realize that Kirby has never played Alabama at home in his time at Georgia.
Doesn't shock me at all. That's so SEC.
So they've played like 8 or 9 times.
So stupid.
But it's all been, I think it's 9. They've played 7 of the 9 in Atlanta. Yeah. 2 of them in Tuscaloosa, but never in Athens. The last time it was in Athens was Kirby's last year in Alabama as a DC.
So this is the first time, because their September 27th is in Athens. You're saying it's the first time as the head coach he gets to host that game?
First time he gets to host that game in Athens, Alabama, Georgia. First time that game's happened though in Athens since he was the DC for Bama.
That's crazy.
I think he said that. I think that's what it was. I think he said that at SEC Media Day. And I was like, that can't be right. And I looked it up and it was like 2000.
Yeah.
Gosh, where did it just go? I just had it 2018.
Okay, 18. Yeah, it's one of those little secrets, Cody, that nobody talks about but me because I'm a schedule nerd. But the SEC's been hiding their teams for years. They've been fixing these things for years. Texas and Oklahoma coming in enables them, that it kind of forces them to not do it as much anymore. But just go ask yourself a simple question. Just say, how many times has Alabama played Georgia in the regular season in the last 10 years, 12, 15? Just go look. Go look and tell me the SEC doesn't hide certain things and fix certain things. You can ask yourself those questions and it'll drive you nuts. I like this new version. It kind of forces them to do certain things. This is one of them. Bama should go to Georgia way more often than they do. It's an incredible game. So, and of course, November 15th is Texas in Athens. That time of year, I've been to a game there in November. It's not cold. It's rain that can get you. The game I went to and saw the Aggies play in Athens, it it rained steadily the entire first half, then dried out for the second half. But it affected the ball game. It made it a sloppy, nasty kind of football game, and the Aggies couldn't get out of it. It was close. They put a decent fight up, but Jake Fromm, I believe, and the Bulldogs ended up getting them that day. We'll see what Texas does with them in November. All right, Cody, let's go to Dallas. Buy or sell number 3. Mateer will make a big difference for OU. They will beat Michigan and Auburn. Buy or sell?
So that means they're going to enter the.
Both games are at home. One on the 6th of September, one on the 20th.
I'm more of an Auburn believer than most people, but I think I'm going to go Venables again. Venables over Jackson Arnold. I don't think Jackson Arnold's going to quite be ready at that point. I think I'll go Venables, and then I think that Oklahoma edges Michigan. So I'll go buy. Mateer gets him undefeated going into Red River.
If you are right on that, what a Red River that could be if you are correct. And, of course, if Texas handles their business in Columbus and Gainesville, what if they're both undefeated and they've both done that? That could be a wild Red River game. All right, let's think about this one, Cody. Let's go to the Aggies. Buy or sell number 4. You think the Aggies lose at Notre Dame but win 9 games by the season's end?
I think I sold on this. I think I was my biggest problem with the Aggies was figuring out if they were going to go 7-5 or 8-4. I finished at 7-5.
Wow.
With a loss at Notre Dame, at LSU, at Texas, home to South Carolina.
It's going to be a tough game.
And in Fayetteville.
Oh, that does turn back into a home and home this year for the Aggies. And you know what? Anybody that wants to tell me, Cody, that they got A&M losing a road game, the hell am I going to tell them? What the hell am I going to say to them knowing what it has been? I think I was cruising through numbers. I believe this is right. I think they're 2-13 their last 15 road games. Like, think about that. Y'all remember that string? They went 2 straight years and didn't win one under Jimbo. They went 0-4, 0-4 in like 22 and 23. I think it was. They lost 10 in a row at one point, true road games. Like, there's a lot of things A&M needs to figure out, Cody, in 2025. How to pack is one of them. Like, a parent at some point has got to teach their kids how to pack. And sometimes you'll give them little tests for like a weekend trip. You let your 9-year-old pack their own bag. And sometimes they show up with like 3 boxes of Captain Crunch and 2 pairs of socks. And you're like, okay, we got to go back through this. The Aggies don't know how to pack recently. They need to figure that out. So I can see where you would get there. I'm hoping they could be a 9-win kind of team, but I'm not sure. And once again, I'm not sure if they don't get the Notre Dame win, can they really navigate that schedule and go find 9 games? I'm not sure. And finally, Cody, Let's go to the Hogs. Buy or sell number 5. Arkansas plays at Ole Miss and hosts Notre Dame in September. They'll lose both, and Texas beats them by 10+.
They're just getting clean sweeped here. That's what you got. At Ole Miss, hosting Notre Dame. No, I think Notre Dame's going to probably run the table.
Right? And Oxford, I mean, that's tough for anybody, but that's pretty early in the season. Going to Oxford, do you give
the
them
quarterback? Technically, you got the quarterback advantage off the rip.
Right? Do you give him a shot there? Petrino dials up Taylon Green one more year against the inexperience of
I kind of like the Arkansas Ole Miss game.
I don't know. That's I'm not quite sure about that one. But November 22nd, 10 was the margin last year in Austin, Texas by 10+. Does that feel right?
Oh, I think that's not even of thought. I think Texas, by that point of the season, I think that as much as I like Sam Pittman, I think that there's probably a decent chance he's not, he's either looked at as like, oh, he's going to be canned in 2 weeks, or he's gone at that point. I know it doesn't happen a lot in season for college, but my thought is kind of more towards that Arkansas at Ole Miss game. Is that a distinct day or night?
You know what? I would have to look and see if they've set that yet. That is September 13th. If you're looking it up,
let me look at the Ole Miss schedule really quickly. Because if that's a distinguished like night game, I'll probably just lean towards Ole Miss. But if that's a noon game, I might sell and take Arkansas. That's a 6 or 6:45 p.m. I'm taking Ole Miss. All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that favors the Rebels. That's what you want.
I'll buy here. They get dusted across the board.
Yeah, I kind of think that may be the way it works too. I think you're probably right on that one. By the way, real quick, Sam Pittman comment before we get out of here. Maybe you heard it differently than I did, and I think it was maybe when he was at the desk with SEC Network. So I'm not sure if you would have heard this interview. But Cody, at one point, he was talking about the state of college football. And he said basically that now that revenue sharing, that over the last couple of years, he feels like they've struggled because they haven't been able to win certain recruiting battles because of NIL.
Mm-hmm.
And now that the revenue sharing's coming in, everybody's going to be equal. And he didn't say it ironically, and he didn't say it with like a gleam in his eye, and he didn't say it as a joke. And I just sat there and I thought, wait a second. Is he telling me he thinks this is like a baseball salary cap? And every team can only spend a certain amount of money? Because if I'm a massive donor to Arkansas, or if I'm in the athletic department, that's going to hit me a little weird, Cody. Like, he can't honestly walk out of there thinking like, oh yeah, no, me and Texas and Georgia and A&M, we're all exactly the same as far as what we can pay players. Like, I don't know. You tell me, would that concern you if you're an Arkansas fan?
It would, and it does. So I kind of got a vibe. This is the benefit of going to SC Media Days and sitting there. I do have 2 buy or sells for you, by the way, after this.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
I wanted to say that just like I was talking about earlier with the quarterbacks, you go, you get to watch them, et cetera, you get a vibe. Getting to listen to all of the coaches, each one of them talk one after another across the 4 days, you get a vibe for how they understand things, how they view things, what their outlook is. And one thing I was picking up on was I wrote in a column last week about just openly talking about retention, for example. How many guys did talk about it? How many guys never even mentioned it? How many guys really dug into it? 9 of the 16 SEC coaches brought up retention and openly talked about how important it is. And they went on tangents about it. And then there was a group of dudes that did not talk about it at all. And that was Sam Pittman, Jeff Lebby, Mark Stoops, Hugh Freeze, Drinkwitz, Heupel, and DeBoer. And only a couple of those teams are successful on a yearly basis.
That's interesting.
But listening to Stoops and Lebby and Pittman talk in particular, and I know that's Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. It's the bottom teams of the conference. But this is what we're talking about here is, to me, those 3 guys, whilst again, I know a lot of, different types of people listen to these shows and stuff, but with full respect and appreciation for their coaching talents, football coaching talents. I think Stoops, Levy, and Pittman are awesome football coaches. It's no longer just football, though. Like, you listen to like Kurt Signetti at Indiana talk at the Big Ten Media Days yesterday. He's like, I'm the GM. He's like, I built this thing and my name's on it. I'm a control freak. I'm going to be the GM. I'm going to be the coach. I'm going to be the talent evaluator, all this different stuff, right? That's understanding and taking the bull by the horns. Sark, taking the bull by the horns, different things like this, right? Pittman, Levy, and Stoops they feel like to me, like they're just out in the water with like their nose above the water, and that's it. Like, they're just like floating. They're like, man, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening around me. I don't really quite have a full grasp of, nobody really has a full grasp of the salary cap thing that, even yesterday we got another update that, it's no longer a hard cap after 22 days. We're back to a soft cap. And
yeah, no kidding.
Like, all this different crap that just continues to happen.
Right.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
But
it
that's
feels
the
like
thing.
those teams in particular don't have a grasp on any of it.
Yeah, but he stated that, I'm like, wow, does he really think that's a hard cap? Does he think it's going to be a hard cap? And when Texas spends $20.5 million, it's done. It's over. That's it. He understands the other part of it, right? So yeah, it was just a weird. Yeah, we'll see how that all plays out. But it's also a team that I'm interested on what that team feels like as we go through. What does Arkansas really feel like? I respect Taylon Green. I think that's a weapon. I was concerned. Look, everybody remember the games that Arkansas and A&M have played at Jerry World? If there's one thing I have not been as an A&M fan, it's confident going into that game. That game is always a shootout circus of madness. And now it goes home and home, Cody. And to this point, by the way, shout out to someone if this is a real stat. Jerry, I'm going to throw it up because good Lord, 3,911 days since A&M has won a true road game against a ranked team. I'm going to trust you that you looked that one up. Good grief. But Cody, to my point about, and you made the point about A&M on the road. We just watched it last year at South Carolina, get whipped at Auburn. Couldn't figure it out. And they've been so bad on the road. And now you're turning a neutral site game that you'd handled for the most part. Arkansas beat them once at Jerry World? Maybe twice? The whole time they made their A&M ran the thing for a while, even though the games were crazy. Now Jerry kicks them out, and you're going to Fayetteville first time. So to you, when you said that did not make me. I did not take that as some kind of insult to the Aggies. They have to prove they can win true road games. I don't care who they're at. They have got to prove that they can go to other places and win. And now you got to add Fayetteville. And it's not going to be like Texas hatred when they show up, but there will be hatred. Arkansas will be ready. Those fans will be ready to hate on the Aggies when they show up a little later in the year. All right, Cody, you said you got a couple buy or sells for me?
I do have a couple buy or sells, but just because you brought it up and you're the show's resident Texan, I'm going to ask you this question. With the Arkansas A&M game leaving Jerry World, do you think that there's another game that they're maybe eyeing to put there on like a regular basis?
I don't know. What I would think of, if I'm thinking sort of out, I can't think of anything sort of SEC-wise that would make sense. The one that they did put in there for a little while that I thought was all right was Tech Baylor. That one was okay. That's being
halfway, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, like me being a Texan, I like the idea that if you're going to have a game go there every year, I get why Arkansas was involved because of Jerry, but I'd love to see it as two Texas teams. So Tech Baylor is the first thing that pops into my head. It's no longer a conference game, but I think they're still going to play the skillet game with TCU SMU. And I've never been to that game. So if they want to tell me that Amon Carter and Ford Field, I think, if they want to tell me that that's special on site, that's fine. But what about that one? That's a rival Texas thing. You could call it whatever you want to call it, right? The Daddy's Money Bowl, the Mirrors and Powder Bowl, whatever you want to do. But SMU TCU is another interesting one. TCU Baylor's one that you could think about. If you want to go I mean, Fort Worth and Waco, it's probably not the exact same distance, but everybody gets to show up at Jerry World and see the game. I know fans that have been to that A&M Arkansas game that like that game. They like going to that game. So I think fan bases would dig it. But those are three that jump out to me as a Texan. I'd like to see it be two Texas schools get together and play.
That's kind of what I assumed. I just wasn't sure what two made sense.
And for the record, not the Longhorns and Aggies, just in case anybody has thought of that. God, no. And not the Longhorns and Sooners. Let's be very clear. That game stays at the Cotton Bowl. Longhorns and Aggies has to be a home and home. You cannot.
I think the only way that the Longhorns and Sooners game would get moved is if that stadium was like going to undergo some big renovation or something like that. Like I don't think it doesn't feel like that'll ever.
Yeah, much like we saw with they had to move the cocktail party when Jacksonville was revamping the stadium. They moved the cocktail party went to. Did they go home and home with that, or they move it to a different site?
No, I think it's I think it's Tampa and Atlanta.
Is that what they did? Okay.
Is it cocktail party? Is Florida, Georgia, right?
That's Florida, Georgia. The game's in Jacksonville. I can't remember if they did a quick little home and home, but I think in the mid '90s, right at the time, it'd be right around the time Jacksonville was like building that stadium. I think they moved it.
It's this year. So this is why I remembered it, because Everbank's getting a 1.2, because when I was there last year for the 5-star, they had signed a $1.2 billion renovation for Everbank. That's going to start after this year. So the 2026 game will be in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. All right. So it is. So this year is
so you're talking about though before the.
Yeah. Sometime back I want to say it's in the 90s somewhere. I think the cocktail party had to move for a year or two or whatever. But yes, that would be the only reason Red River should ever move.
It was in 94. They went to Gainesville, 95, Athens, and then it went back to Jacksonville every year since.
So a quick little home and home for the cocktail party. Wouldn't you love to have been at the tailgates those 2 years? Oh, my God.
Georgia got annihilated in both games.
Is that right?
Oh, my. 52-17 and 47-7.
Yeah, that's Spurrier Florida time, right? That's when Florida was cranking back then. That was some serious Gator teams. That's good stuff.
They won 13 out of 14 games on that streak against Georgia.
13 out of 14? Ooh, that's rough.
I was right in the middle of it.
And again, oh, by the way, we'll verify it. Big Cheddar says it was Kyle Umlang that tweeted out the 39-11. I know Kyle Umlang does his research when it comes to ripping on the Aggies. So yes, I'll trust him that number is right. All right, Cody, what do you got for me?
Two easy ones. Staying on the Aggies, buy or sell. If I gave you free tickets to see your Aggies at any SEC stadium, you're choosing the Swamp?
Interesting. Okay. Any SEC stadium, I have seen them at Georgia, so I don't have to worry about that one. It was awesome.
Well, you can go back. It's free tickets.
I could go back. It's free. I got you. Okay. I've seen Georgia, I've seen Auburn, and I've seen LSU, for the record, in terms of SEC stadiums. And if you want to consider it one retroactively, obviously I've seen them play in Austin too. At any SEC stadium, you'll choose the Swamp. Man, that is definitely one. That is one that has been discussed.
You can take Kyle Field if you want to.
I can't think. Well, I mean, and yeah, but we'll take Kyle Field out of it. I've seen him in Kyle Field.
A homer if you did that. But.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. I mean, come on. And I'm going to take Kyle Field and DKR out of it because that's just a little too easy. I don't want to have that recency bias. So it's really between like the Swamp. Man, I've seen the atmosphere at South Carolina, and it's awesome. But, yeah, let's go with the Swamp. I'll buy that because of the historic ones. That's one that I haven't checked off the list, and I'd rather do that than Tuscaloosa. I'm not pulled to do the Tuscaloosa thing. I would like to see the Swamp. Like, if it's packed and, I know the place itself is not legendary, and I've heard Gainesville is not that much in terms of, like, a college town, but to say I went to the Swamp, yeah, let's do that one. I'll say bye.
I think for name recognition, I think I would agree with you for the Swamp. The only other two that came to my mind was obviously Tuscaloosa, but you said you've been to Jordan-Hare? Was it a night game?
Yes. Day game at Auburn. I got a night game at LSU. Middle of the day, Georgia. Auburn was an 11 a.m. kick.
And then the other one was Oxford, not because of like the game environment, or about like the tailgating aspect added to it.
The Grove is, you know what? The Grove is there. Ole Miss girl would be very sad that I'd forgotten the Grove. So, you know what? I'll change it. Let me sell and go with the Grove. So Ole Miss girl will still talk to me, because that atmosphere is pretty badass. And I've got, over the years, I've really learned to appreciate other tailgates. I like to go to those other tailgates wearing my stuff and just find out about their thing. So if I can go to the chandeliers and all of that and the bow ties and find out more about that Oxford, game day culture, let me do that. I'm gonna go to the Grove. I appreciate you bringing them up. I'll go to the Grove.
All right. Whenever I come on here with you, I like to usually pull a Chad type question out. And there was only one birthday, so I couldn't do a hotter than.
Okay.
Although J-Lo might like a tequila drink on a beautiful day like today.
Dude, I was going to say, what do you mean you couldn't find a hot? J-Lo's 56 today, dude.
Hey, she's probably going to have a tequila drink. She probably have a margarita or something. Yeah. Buy or sell, though. Spicy margarita is your favorite tequila drink, and you'll openly admit it.
Let me see. I will sell, because you put the word spicy in there. I am a margarita on the rocks guy, but we don't need to go spicy. We don't need to get weird with it. Margarita, rocks, salt can work, sugar can work. The tahini, I can do a little bit of that at times, but I don't need to make it spicy. No. Just regular margarita on the rocks. That's my tequila drink of choice.
My wife is very much in the let's pour the whole bottle of tequila into a mason jar and then put jalapenos in it and let it infuse for like 3 days. And I'm like,
can't
listen,
no.
No,
I can't do heavy spice. I got a niece that's exactly that way. She loves the spice. She loves pickles and all the weirdest flavored stuff to me. I can't do heavy spice. Like, here's what I can't do, Cody. I'm such a wuss. I can't do like a nacho with just one little jalapeno disc on it.
No,
I can't even do that. If I eat that, my head will explode. Like, I'll just start sweating and freaking out. So I can't do it, but I love a good, high quality Marg on the rocks made with a really good tequila is awesome to me. I love that. Love that. Give me a little, whatever you like, Herradura, 1800, high level. I'm a silver guy with tequila. Give me a high level silver tequila, that kind of stuff. Love it. All right. There we go. So Money B says, how is Ole Miss girl? I remember her from the radio days. Money B, she's way too old for me to mention right now. I don't even want to talk about how old she is right now. Out of college. Like, I think she's done with grad school now and all this stuff. Yeah. She started listening to me on the radio when she was like 11 or 12, whatever it is. And now she's like out doing life and stuff. All right. Thank you guys for checking it out today. Liking, subscribing, getting your notifications. I think I saw right. That subscriber number on the YouTube page, I think it's hit 45,000 now. Thank you guys for helping us get there. We appreciate you. Remember, that part is free. Being a subscriber on the YouTube page, that is free. Liking a show, absolutely free. So if you didn't like on the way in, go ahead and like on the way out. Thanks to over 600 of you in the Specs chat. And please get to that QR code in the upper left. Get signed up with orangebloods.com. That will cost you a little, but trust me, it is worth it, because you get the best message board that has ever been created and all this incredible content that we discuss. Sometimes we discuss it on the show, like we did today with Cody's article. You want to dig deep into these quarterbacks in the SEC and what they're dealing with. But as Cody does, tells you historically what you can expect from some of these guys. Oh my God, they don't have experience. Cody's going to show you why that can be overrated just a little bit. Go check that out. Catch his 10 thoughts from the weekend on Sundays. Anwar in the Sunday pulpit on Sundays. All of Alex's great breakdowns throughout the year. We got that coming up with the deep dig and all that. Cody's got behind the enemy lines for you when the season cranks up. And every Thursday night, just like now, we're talking to you on a Thursday. Thursday night is War Room night with all the news and notes and nuggets that the guys are collecting, recruiting stuff that's going on, all of that. Check out orangebloods.com. Tomorrow, it's a Friday show. Jeff Ketchum claims that he's going to take tomorrow off as well. He's the kind of guy that finds it tough to stay away. Can he go from water park to actually a day off on a Friday? We'll find out. Will someone join me for the show tomorrow? We'll find out. Come on back tomorrow at noon. We'll see what happens. Thank you all for checking it out. This is Orange Bloods Live. Thanks to Cody for jumping in today. Also remember, catch Cody and Alex with Football with Friends weekdays at 6. You guys cranking up the show today, Cody?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There you go.
Talking NIL money and offensive tackles.
Ooh, there you go. NIL and offensive tackles. Check them out. They are not only one of the best shows in the business, they have better backgrounds than any of the backgrounds that you're looking at, like that one right there behind Cody. So check them out. He and Alex always busting out great stuff, great backgrounds. And as they will tell you, and as you'll see, it's fun as hell. Check them out. Football with Friends, 6 o'clock on weekdays here on Orange Bloods Live. Also remember, check out the video section. If you're not finding what you want, check out the shorts section. If you haven't checked out all the stuff from SEC Media Days, there's still some really cool stuff there. All kinds of Arch Manning content. Cody talking to Paul Feinbaum, as he mentioned. The guys talking to the executive director of the CFP. It's all there. So check it out. Thank you all for jumping in, and we will talk